Where's that?
Good evening.
I know.
Welcome to the June public meeting.
No.
First item is public comments on issues and concerns related to the agenda. Who would like to be first?
I guess,
Go ahead.
yeah, so I sent an email out not long ago, and it was in regard to, willful, disrespect, basically, of the facts and, disregard of the facts. And this is in reference to the, I guess, the motion for, giving the fire department $20,000. And, it was mentioned a number of times, that, in an email, through Borough Council, I guess, that, the borough promised, and it was mentioned that, I think, maybe, I don't know, recently, that the borough promised the $20,000 to, the fire company, and it was never even discussed. I think you were referencing a meeting that you weren't even at. So I think to mention, the word promise was never, ever mentioned, never spoken. So to even use that is just, I don't know what the motive is, but it's just, spreading, misinformation.
Okay, anybody else?
Well, and I'll back that up. I, been at all these meetings, I never heard the word promised. I don't know if any of you have, I know I haven't. Never heard the word promised. You would look at it at budget time. That's what I heard.
All right, anybody else? All right, let Desiree go. Good.
I went through every recording and at no time was any monies promised to the fire department. No amount of money was promised to the fire department. And they were told they had to come back in October when budget was being done, and Lisa would speak to anybody, or anyone on that committee would speak to anybody interested in funding. So I just want to make that clear, because once again, everything is always misinformation with you or outright lies.
Okay, anybody else? Tim, number 2.
Yeah, so on the summary treasurer's report that you get from the fire department, one of the things is a savings account that's now called capital reserve account with about $52,000 in it. This account used to be called borough contribution account, which I believe is probably where the property tax money would go into for the fire tax. What is that money gonna be used for?
That is something you'd have to take up with the fire department and or the treasurer.
Well, don't you think you might wanna use that before you come and ask for 20,000, since you have tax money right there?
Can't speak for the fire department.
He said that with a serious face.
They do have public meetings too.
That we can't go to.
All right, anybody else on the agenda?
I'm gonna follow that up. February 2020 minutes. The public is welcome to attend prior to the meeting. This is at the Delaware Gap Fire Department meeting, business meeting. The public is welcome to
Where's this
attend.
on our agenda for today?
I'm following up what you had just said, that the
All right,
public
well,
is allowed to go to.
You're gonna have to talk about that afterwards, because unless it has something to do with what's on the agenda now.
You,
that's the
I'm
first time. You have a
responding back
comment
to
or
what
a
you said.
question or an issue on the agenda related matters?
I am responding to what you said.
Okay, does anybody have any questions related to agenda related matters?
Well, we're not allowed to your meeting, so there.
Going twice. All right. Next is treasurer's reports. Approval of the treasurer's report, including accounts payable. Do we have a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
I make a motion, we approve the treasurer's report.
I'll second.
Lisa makes the motion, Jack seconds the motion, any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next is approval of meeting minutes, regular council meeting, May 1st, 2023. Do we have a motion to approve those meeting minutes?
You would think that would be a question for the board to ask, what that
Terry
52,000 is
makes the
gonna be used for.
motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Derek seconds. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda is superintendent report. Chris, you're up.
Good evening. Sorry I missed last month. So, over the last 2 months, I believe we had one PA1 calls. We had no water main breaks. When it comes to safety concerns, the cheek wall at the ADA ramp at the bridge down there, I still haven't got to it yet. The plan is to obviously form it properly as to plan, as to approved plans, and get that back in the spec. I wanna bring up that curbs are failing on multiple locations on Main Street as well as catch basins. So I really believe we need to address this sooner than later. For maintenance addressed, lawn maintenance, just weekly, taking care of all the grass around the borough. I had to replace the stop sign twice at Delaware Ave. I've been trimming low-hanging branches as I've been driving through the streets. You know, anything that hits the truck, I take care of, or I see something dead. I reinstalled a no parking sign on Waring Road. Performed general maintenance on both trucks, clean roads, curb areas to be painted yellow, and obviously I've started painting the curbs yellow if you've been driving around town. I also raised the borough sign, painted it, and now it has dusk till dawn lighting. I wanted to bring up the backhoe because I have not taken it apart yet because we may have found a new vendor where we can get it repaired for half the price, so that has to go to a vote or be discussed at least. And that's about it.
Anybody have any questions for Chris? Did, on the curbs, did that something with the road?
Yeah, okay, roads all fine.
I have a question. Chris, do you know when you're coming out on 611, Foxtown Hill 611, like cemeteries on your right, you're going up that
All
way?
that tall grass.
Yeah, that's not us.
That's,
is it?
I'm about to just cut it.
No, you just have to call them, they'll
It's
do it.
hard to see.
I
and
know,
can
it's
see
like
it.
3 feet tall now.
It's dangerous.
I mentioned it even to
Yeah.
Harry about it, cause I was like, am I responsible for it? Am I missing it? And he goes, no, it's PennDOT,
It is
and
PennDOT,
yeah.
okay.
My husband complained to me about it, and I told him, I think that's.
You did call him?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm about to chop.
You want me to call? I can call them.
That would be great.
I'll call them.
I saw a motorcycle driver almost get,
It's
like,
very
you can see it,
dangerous.
but you can't
I-
see.
Yeah.
And they almost, yeah.
All right, I'll call PennDOT tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Chris? Next, mayor's report, Larry.
Okay, so, road closure, where are we at with that? So I messaged PennDOT today, they got back with me. I'll just read you their email, it's easier to figure out that way. Phase work 1 is within the view shed of the scenic river, so PennDOT needs a section 4F approval from the National Park Service for the phase 1 work, showing the temporary impacts to the Delaware River will not adversely affect the scenic qualities of the river. That's in section AF, the minimus evaluation of the scenic river for phase 1 work has been provided by the National Park Service for approval. The Park Service has not indicated when they will issue the approval. So, it's not changed much since the last time I've addressed the council and you guys, other than the fact that I did reach out to Kathleen Son, from the Park Service today on a separate issue. And it sounds to me again, like there's some things missing in the application for getting the app done and the permits. So she was gonna get back with me to give us some more specifics, but that seems like where it stands before. Everybody keeps throwing everybody under the bus, but that's what I'm getting from both parties. There is one other issue that somebody brought to my attention, and I'm which brought the conversation that I had with Kathleen Sant and the state police and our chief. Apparently, a mile down the road, just past the Deer Head Inn, somebody had built a fire in the middle of 611. I don't know the size of the fire, whether it was a campfire, whether it was just somebody just burning something. But number one, that's not good for the road. Sadly, with it nobody being on it, it's not monitored, nobody's around. Second of all, I'm sure if you all have savvy citizen, you saw today that we are under a fire watch. There is a fire that's burning, you probably know about it, Howard, Wind Gap, forest fire, whatever, they're trying to get it under control. For a while there, 33 was shut down because of it. So I brought that up to Kathleen's attention and the state police and to our chief to keep the watch if it's going down there or make a ride through there. The Rangers as well are gonna be going through there after I talk to Kathleen. So, she did give me a number, and I will give it to, Allison, we can put it on our web page or whatever, or maybe even Facebook. There's two different numbers, there's an emergency number with the Park Service, and there's just a number that's just to reach them locally. And then that way, they can send out a ranger if they see something. Cause you know that Park Service is huge, and they only have a handful of people to monitor that, so. If we've got eyes on that kind of stuff, we can call them and then let them go out and try to handle it. I hope this is just a one-off thing that we don't see all the time, and, cause we don't need a forest fire around here. That would be a big problem. So, that's basically all I have. I can go into the police report if you want to.
Right ahead.
So we'll go right into the police report. So highlights from the police report. In May, Delaware Water Gap Police Department responded to 7 calls for service and conducted 18 directed patrols. April 2023 uniform crime reports were submitted to Pennsylvania State Police in Harrisburg. 9 borough parking citations were issued and 1 state citation. 2 residential property checks were received by the department. Those are people that go on vacation, they ask the department to cruise through or check the doors and stuff like that. SOPs are slowly are progressing, and nearing completion. Hopefully that's going to be done soon. As of now, the chief says we haven't received any employment applications. There have been a couple nibbles, but nothing come back with them. Incidents and calls for services. Officers investigated a report of an abandoned vehicle on Oak Street. The vehicle was towed after an exhaustive investigation. This has been going on for a long time. Finally, the vehicle's been towed. Officers responded to Oak Street for a report of a disabled vehicle. Officers cleared without incident. Officers responded to Cherry Valley Road to assist EMS. The incident was cleared without incident. Traffic stop was conducted on Mountain Road during a direct patrol of the intersection. The driver was let off with a warning for a stop sign violation. Officers responded to a cell phone 911 hangup. The area was canvassed and nothing out of the ordinary was found. Officers responded to Main Street for a reported suspicious person. Officers cleared without incident. And officers responded to Main Street business for suspicious vehicle occupied by 2. The vehicle was investigated and determined made not a matter of record. And that is it for the police report.
Thank you very much, Larry. Next, Fire Chief Howard.
Good evening. The Delaware Water Gap Fire Department responded to 8 calls this month for service. 3 medical calls, 2 motor vehicle accidents, 2 auto alarms, and 1 brush fire. We'll talk about the rest, I guess, when the motion comes up.
Okay, you wanna roll into the emergency management
Emergency
coordinator?
management, I am attending a quarterly class in 2 weeks out at the control center. And moving forward with training.
Alright. Thank you, Howard. And you?
Sure, the Gulf Station Inlet, we, designed the 2 handicap ramps on either side of that driveway, and we submitted to PennDOT on May 16th, so we should hear something back from them about 30 days, from May 16th. Cherry Valley Road Waterline Replacement Project, we did receive, or the borough did receive their approvals for the general permit from DEP and erosion control from the conservation districts. And other than the agenda items, that's all I have. There are a couple grants listed here. The LSA grant is going to open in July 1st. Pell Grant is now open until June 30th. And then the PennDOT set-aside fund is now open until September 15th. And then the DCED Multimodal Transportation Fund is open until July 31st. I think that's it.
And growing greener.
And growing greener, thank you.
Nope. Anybody have any questions for this?
Yes, I know the decision on the grant for the tank was put off to the next work session.
Yeah, July 16th or 18th.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was my question.
That was it?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, zoning officer, building inspector's report, I don't see any manager out there. So no report. Solicitor's report, status on 4 Shepherd Court.
Yeah, I don't have, I mean, she hasn't paid, but I know that the zoning officer had said last time that she had applied for a new permit. I don't know if that's been issued or not. And that new permit would have required removal of that structure as well as bringing things out of the right of way and such, but I don't know the status as to whether or not he's issued that or what's happened. I think that's more of an answer.
Okay. All right, so to be continued on that, Mike.
And I can email him to see, so if we don't get an update from him immediately, so I can let you guys know what he told me.
Okay. Anything else?
That's not covered in the rest of the agenda.
All right, new business. First item for new business is motion to give the fire department $20,000 to use as down payment for the self-contained breathing apparatus equipment. And I'll make the motion. That, give a second to the motion.
I'll second the motion.
Jack seconds the motion, and any discussion on the motion to give the fire department $20,000 to use as down payment for the SCBA equipment?
Yeah, Bill, you guys met with the fire department, can you talk about that?
Yeah, Jack, if you wanna start the
Yeah.
discussion. go
Yeah,
ahead.
basically, we had a meeting up at the fire hall. Phil, Jamie, and myself, as 3 members of council. The fire chief was there, John Smith was there, Jim Ferrari was there. Also Mike, the assistant chief. So we had basically had all the officers of the fire company, in addition to the 3 members from council. Talked about, some different options. Jim Ferrari has been researching, as you know, for months. I was asking, I wanted to see terms of the loan to make sure if they did get a loan from the bank, they could comfortably afford the payments to do it. Fire company's not asking the borough to make any payments. Obviously, they're asking for some help with down payment in order to be able to get the equipment that they need. Better to have the equipment and not need it than to need it and not have it. We are a volunteer, they are a volunteer fire company. They need some help financially. If we give them $20,000, logistically, we could maybe pay it January 1st. Talking to Jim Ferrari, they would take $20,000 out of their fund, their general accounting fund that they use to pay the overhead and so forth. Then we would, January 1st, give them $20,000 to replace that. So that would come out of our, that'd be written out of next year's budget, if we can do it that way. They had 2 lenders that they spoke with. The first lender I wasn't happy with, I don't think anybody was. I think they were out of Kentucky. Basically, it was a lease, where this company bought the equipment and you paid lease payments for 7 years. And then after the last payment, for $1, they would give you the title to the equipment, which was ridiculous. If you missed one payment, obviously they could say, too bad, it's ours. East Stroudsburg Savings, Jim had thought of them because in the past, the fire company has utilized them for funds when they were short on other things. ESSA, as you know, is very community-minded. They have come up with a great rate. And terms, they looked at different terms, 5, 7, 10 years and so forth. But what they felt was in the fire company as well as the lender from ESSA, a 7-year term at a 6% loan. Now, mortgage rates are more than 6% right now. 30-year mortgage rates are about 6 5/8, 6 3/4 right now. So this is a very favorable rate that ESSA would get. The monthly payment would be $1,232 a month. They can afford that out of a grant that they get every year and have gotten, so that wouldn't come out of any other funds. So the monthly payment, which I was concerned with, would be covered. The $20,000 down payment, whatever you wanna call it, temporary loan, whatever it is, they're taking the funds that they have in their general reserve fund that pays the heat bill and the light bill and the fuel and everything else up there, hopefully to be replenished. Now, why do we need to do that now? Well, because we need equipment if they have to go into a house that's on fire to do it. We talked about it. They have compromised, they've come down from 16 units to 14 units. So that the amount, the number has gone down. The total amount would be $104,000. If you remember, I think we were as high as $128,000 at one point. And then the controller, I think in Smithfield, talked directly to the manufacturer, and they were able to get about a $9,000 discount, and then they were willing to extend that to the Borough of Delaware Water Gap as well. So that knocked it down to about 118 or 119,000. And then by eliminating 2 to 16 and only going for 14 units, it would be a total of about 104,000. So with a $20,000 down payment, the amount financed would be $84,122. The other thing I think, which is really key here, because we need a loan that's flexible. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, there's no prepayment penalty. So if we pay that 20 grand in January, and along comes Smithfield Township and they say we're gonna match that 20 grand or 10 grand or whatever it is, since we do cover a good portion of their property as well, they can reduce that 84,000 to 64,000 and lower the payment probably somewhere down around $900 a month, give or take a few dollars. Now, there's no guarantee on that, but Smithfield Township in the past has always contributed. In fact, a lot of your residents don't know, but they actually give more money to the fire company every year than we do as a borough. Okay, they give about anywhere from $12,500 to $14,000. I think last year they gave over $14,000 to the fire company from Smithfield Township. So they certainly have played their part. We need the lead. It's the fire company's Delaware Water Gaps, not Smithfield Township's. So what I'm saying, and the reason why I second the motion, I think we need the money. I think we need to order the equipment yesterday. It takes about 60 days to get it here. You can't beat these terms unless somebody out there wants to finance it for nothing. I mean, no prepayment penalty, knock the principal down, lower the payments, give these guys what they need to do it. I don't know, and if anybody has any questions, we can call Jim Ferrari. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here tonight. I was hoping he could because Jim has done a... Are you on, Jim?
I think he's on.
Are you on, Jim? Well, if not, we can call him.
Yeah.
Jim,
I am on,
Okay,
Jack. I am on.
all right, did I miss anything?
You did not. You very accurately stated the facts.
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah.
Tim, go ahead.
Then what's the 52,000 that's in that account? That keeps accruing.
Capital reserve account you talking about?
That used to be called the borough contribution account. What is that gonna be used for? Up until April or May of 2022, it was called the borough contribution account. That was the tax money, the property tax money, the fire tax money.
I think it was more than fire tax funds, I think.
Well,
Jim, are you
It was
there?
pretty close
Yeah,
to
yeah.
8,000 a
Tim.
year.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay. What we attempted to do was hold that money in reserve for emergency purchases and capital purchases. As you know, the fire company has, at any time, the fire company can have a major purchase that they need to make or a major capital contribution they need to make. And that is exemplified by when we lost the one truck. We had to replace the one truck. We had a $50,000 obligation to do that, which we did. So I tried to hold those monies in abeyance as best as I could and utilize the funds that the fire company was raising for the operational expenses. So that's why we changed the designation of that from borough contribution account to capital reserve account. But basically it's the same thing.
but it has never been used. It keeps growing.
It keeps growing, but we need to utilize those funds when they're needed.
right now.
And Tim, you know as well as I do that the fire company is gonna have expenses that are not anticipated, just as I said in the one
So will the
example.
borough.
We need, and we appreciate the borough's contributions to that account. But we cannot survive without that.
But Jim, this is what Lisa's point was too, for the borough. The borough is gonna have emergencies. They're all, you know, the water line out Cherry Valley Road, that's gonna be a big expense. This
Water
building
tank.
itself is gonna be a big expense.
Tim, if you look at the fire company's finances, they're always very thin. It's basically a hand-to-mouth type operation.
So is the borough.
And the ability to raise funds is very challenging for the fire company. So the borough needs to make that contribution for the fire company to be able to function. And we have, I think to our credit, we have been able to save some of those funds for a rainy day rather than just immediately spend them when we get them. And you know, any business, and a fire company basically is a business, you need to have some capital reserve account to be able to function. And that's what we've done. I mean, I've tried to be very conservative with the funds. And to our credit, I think we've been able to save money and not spend it immediately. But just like this conversation illustrates, there's gonna be situations where we need to spend money in order to continue to have the fire company function. It's not cheap to run a fire company, I can tell you that.
Hey, Jim, a year ago, you paid $8,000 to wrap a truck. Was that an emergency?
No.
That's 40% of what you're asking for.
That's not an emergency, but that's a necessity to identify the vehicles that belong to the fire company, Tim.
$8,000.
It was $24,000 to pay.
That's the going rate. We don't have control over what they charge.
Just to put the logos on.
We had a white vehicle come in and it had to be identified as Delaware Water Gap Fire Company vehicle.
Mr. Ferrari, this is Lisa Paulette. Can I ask a question, please?
Certainly.
So what I'm understanding is that the fire company is accruing funds that were provided by the citizens of Delaware Water Gap for emergency situations that you're explaining. And also, the citizens of Delaware Water Gap are paying a fire tax, which is also contributed to the fire company for emergencies. When this situation came up for the fire company, the whole entire community was trying to figure out alternatives to get the tanks that they much needed. One of the alternatives was the tanks from another municipality that had gotten a grant, and they refused it. Now, I've been going out talking to representatives, congressmen, anybody that would listen to me, saying that our fire company was in dire need of these tanks because we do understand the importance of them. I went to an event and Representative Tara Probst pulled me aside with great happiness to tell me that the fire company was gonna get $10,000 for a grant. I came back, I told my fellow council member, Mr. Shoemaker, that good news, they said they needed $10,000 to $20,000, which is what we were told in February. There's $10,000 coming in from a grant. In May, Mr. Ike stood in the meeting and said that the $10,000 was coming in, and he talked to Tara Probst, and she said they could use it for the tanks. Now they're kind of waffling on that. So what is concerning us is that the Borough of Delaware Water Gap has a slim budget. We are contributing with the fire tax. You're accruing funds that were donated by the borough, by the citizens of Delaware Water Gap. We tried to find alternatives and they won't accept them. He originally said he needed $10,000 to $20,000. You now are getting $10,000 in a grant. And it seems like you're not trying to help us help you. We have a budget for engineering that we budgeted $10,000 this year and we're already up to $16,000. We have a car that we had $1,000, we just approving the payment for that. We have water leaks all over the place. We are not sitting on a bucket of money, and we're trying to find the best way to support the fire company. But we can only do so much. And to sit and hold funds that were taken from the citizens of Delaware Water Gap, use their fire taxes coming from the citizens of Delaware Water Gap, take a grant that we're actively trying to fill out the forms and get for them, and then say, you still want more. It's really hurting us. And we need the person, the people, the entity that is asking us for help to be flexible enough to know that help means you do something first and then we add on to that. Why are they not using the funds that were already provided?
First of all, let me say that the $10,000 grant was restricted, and that grant cannot be used to purchase the SCBA.
In the meeting on May 16th, we were told that he spoke to Tara Probst and she said it could be used for the air tanks. And that is what she pulled me aside to tell me about that grant.
That did not come from me, and if that statement was made by anybody, that statement was incorrect and was mistaken. Those funds are restricted. Howard, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. It was my mistake.
I filled out the grant with Allison, and it's for medical
But
equipment.
it is for equipment. Why is
Medical
the air tanks is your
equipment.
emergency equipment now? I
It is
spoke
for
with Tara
QRS
Probst
equipment.
and she is the one.
We actually had a list of all the equipment that we would buy with the $10,000 in the grant. Alice and I were trying to sit and figure this out, and that's what we came up with. Those are the medical equipment. They asked for medical equipment, and that's the medical equipment grant, the QRS grant.
PRS is quick response, that was that quick response program.
So there was a mistake made by Howard, he made a
It was
mistake.
a mistake
thought you
made
could
by
do
the
it.
Representative Probst. It was a mistake made by the state representative who's appropriating the funds.
Right.
Is that right,
We
Jim?
should find that out.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
That's a good question.
The state representative that's appropriating those funds told me she was sending a $10,000 grant to help with the air tanks.
The bottom line is the funds are designated and they cannot be used for the SCBA.
Just like any other grant, they're designated funds.
I don't think anyone asked.
So it was misrepresented.
Okay, so the $52,000 or so that comes from Delaware Water Gap citizens' funds, none of that can be used for the air tanks?
Any funds of the fire company can be used for the air tanks.
Then use them.
So I'm not quarreling with you that any funds that the fire company has can be used for the air tanks. The situation is that the fire company has a very thin budget. I send the treasurer reports to the borough every month. You can see what we have. And as I said, it's a hand-to-mouth type operation. We don't have a lot of income coming in. We try to be very conservative with the income coming in. I've tried to maintain a capital reserve account, which is absolutely necessary. And we're asking the borough to help us with this purchase of the SCBA, which are outrageously expensive, so that we can properly service the town.
So when you spoke to us, Mr. Ike said that they needed somewhere between 10 and 20,000. Why can't you use 10,000 of the funds that you already have from us? And
That is up to the wisdom of the council in terms of what the council would like to do for us.
Now, the other thing, Jim, I have a question, that
Spend your money.
52,000, that's not just tax dollars, that's coin toss money and other fundraisers, correct?
citizens,
No.
Is that correct?
No.
All the funds of the fire company represent all those sources of income. That's correct.
Coin tosses and everything.
Not in that one account.
The borough contribution.
And we have, obviously, we've been, hampered by the fact that Route 611 is closed and the coin toss income is not gonna be what it has been, at least for another year.
Jeff, do you still have fire auxiliary?
The auxiliary is there, yeah, we helped out, but we don't have a lot of funds there. We just fixed the roof. We just paid to fix the roof the fire company built.
Well, how much is in that fund?
That was like $7,000 for that. We have, in the auxiliary fund account, there's probably roughly 17,000 right now,
17,000.
roughly 17,000.
right there, and they just got a grant to do the building over.
And the Pocono Air Packs was $6,000. So why is that not a viable option? If they have 17 there, 52 there, 6,000 would have covered those air packs, maybe another 2,000 to switch the adapters. What was wrong with 3 to 4 years worth of use on 16 packs? I want an answer to that. Why is that just dismissed? If it's so vital, so important, such a dire emergency, why not get something you could have tomorrow? Why?
What, the used one you're talking about?
Yes.
Howard, why can't we use the used one? Do you wanna go over that again?
We've gone over it before, they would have, and there's more than just the $6,000. They would have to be flow tested, and we have to readapt the trucks for those tanks, because they are larger. They are 1 hour cylinders, not the half-hour cylinders. They're heavier. There's a lot of stuff that we considered with those packs. We did not just dismiss Pocono Township SCBA's.
So you're saying the cost to modify that to utilize it would be also expensive?
Yes.
How much would it be
There's
to
other
do that?
expenses.
How much more would it be?
I'm not sure.
Well, I'm sure you did the research to come to that conclusion.
As opposed to 15 years worth of use with that.
Gary?
I have a separate question. Deb, there was an email that you went back between yourself and Jim Ferrari concerning financing. I didn't understand the verbiage real well, but would the borough be responsible?
No, that was my question to Jim. I was making sure that there was no, in the ESSA loan, that they weren't looking for something from the borough, some sort of commitment, and there's not. They're taking a lien, I guess, on the company.
The only function of the borough in this would be contributing to the payment. The fire company is totally financing this. The bank is going to look only to the Delaware Water Gap Fire Company for the collateral security and payment of the loan. They're gonna take back an interest in the equipment itself. So the borough has absolutely no financial obligation beyond whatever, in your wisdom, you determine appropriate to contribute towards the down payment.
And that's just what I was confirming.
Okay.
And Deb, I'm understanding that although we did that deal with the backhoe where we, voted to pay it the next year in January, we cannot do that in this situation because we'll have a different council.
This council approves the budget for next year. So in December, as you do every year, you will approve and pass a budget for next year. There is a mechanism in the borough code for council in the beginning of the year to open or reevaluate and amend that budget. So.
Which would be after the reorganization meeting, right?
Yes, so while you have the ability to budget it for next year, the new council has the ability to amend the budget and not budget it.
Right, can I weigh in yet?
Okay.
And I'm gonna forward this to Jim Ferrari. But I was at the February work session, and basically we're going over almost exactly what we went over in that work session. And I even at one point then suggested to Howard, Howard mentioned that they had a little over $100,000 in the reserve account. Is that still true, Howard?
Not the reserve, that's our total amount, not the reserve.
102,705 and 75 cents is the total on-hand cash.
Yeah.
For the fire department.
So, but at that time, that's when I suggested they take the $20,000 out at that point, and then the borough could discuss, reimbursing them, did I say that right?
That's
Reimburse.
In
That's what
January,
we're doing now.
when they redid their budget. So we're actually going over the same thing that we went over then, correct?
Yes.
And all of a sudden, everybody's taking credit for coming up with this idea when we had it months ago. But somebody stepped in and
Thank
wasn't
you,
happy
Marty.
with that. And that's why we're at here now. We simply could have hashed that out at the next meeting in March, and it didn't happen. But the point I'm trying to throw out there is this $100,000 that you're gonna take the 20 out of. So you have 100,000 that you can take 20 out of, but then you also have, I didn't know about this, 52,000. So.
No, that's
No, it's part of the total
That's
sum.
total.
It's part of the total sum, so there's 52,000 in reserve.
Total.
Marty, and also out of the 100,000, the 30,000 is the building fund. Now,
Which
those
can only
dollars
be
can't be
spent.
touched. They were made by citizens, donations
For the
strictly to
building.
rehab the
Alright.
building. Norma Snow was one of the biggest contributors to that. They can't touch those funds. Those are
Correct.
completely for the building. So they don't have 100 and some thousand. That's just total assets, including the building fund of 30,000. The
So
other
nonetheless,
part,
that, but they're all in
So
some
you're down
type
to
of reserve,
72.
but they're all, somehow they're basically,
They pay our bills.
alright.
the 52.
And just to give you an idea, the monthly bills this month were $5,800.
Mhm.
Just to give you an idea of what they received, what the debts are.
But bottom
Does
line
that,
is,
does that, okay, let me finish it.
well, we're just back to square one, honestly, where we were in February, with almost the same exact scenario, except for one thing, there was no promise. It was supposed to be discussed, and then, that got kiboshed by,
All right.
whatever you wanna call it.
Did anybody out in, since we've opened it up, does anybody out in, Zoom wanna make a comment or ask a question while we can? I can't see. It doesn't look like, I don't know, they raised their hand or something, I don't know.
I think it was just yell out.
Okay, all right.
I have
Anybody
a
else?
statement.
Council,
Yes.
Zach?
I honestly don't know which way to go on this. I'm right down the middle. I wanna help the fire department. I think that's the right thing to do. $20,000 feels like an
Extortion.
invented number, but you had to pick a number. You had to pick a number.
It's actually what the bank wanted, it's
It's what the bank wants.
Right.
What they wanted.
I understand
for
that,
down
yes,
payment.
the bank
didn't
wants
want
that
that
down
exactly
payment,
right,
but you
because
guys
that's-
could
I
be
guess how
responsible
they
for
made
some of the down payment. Smithfield could
No, no,
be
absolutely.
responsible for some of
But
the down
that's
payment.
right, that was the number the bank gave us, that's what I'm saying. You're right,
Thank you. Thank you.
that's true.
Yeah, the bank wants $20,000.
Sort of thing.
Should that be the borough's responsibility? It'd be nice if it was. Yeah, I don't feel strongly one way or the other. Like I said, I feel it's the right thing to do to help the fire department. And unless somebody suggests a compromise of less than $20,000 and gives a rationale for it, I don't see a reason to vote against it.
Lisa,
That's my feeling.
can you touch on the grant that I sent you from Representative Rosemary Brown, for fire equipment?
Yes, I forwarded that. I don't know if anyone applied for it.
I looked at it. It is for municipal fire departments, paid and combination paid volunteer. And it is also for, emergency management, training buildings, like the Monroe County building.
Doesn't-
I forwarded
It does
to
not
you.
apply to us. I did look at it when you forwarded it.
You sent it to me, I sent it right away to Howard.
So with the finance budget committee,
And she did send
Mr.
that. to
Buzzard
me.
has been asking, what Zach just said about contributions. Okay, when you first started asking us for this, you spoke of maybe you all could put in 10,000. And then we've been asking since February what Smithfield Township would put in. And Smithfield Township pretty much said the same thing we said, that they had not budgeted this for this year. So what we're looking at is we've been getting this month after month beating for one set number, $20,000. And we also have been taking a beating on our bills and our budget for things that are overextended and over what we budgeted for. And what we're looking for is you all, when I used to tell my children, they say, help me. I say, let me tell you what help means. Help means you start doing something, and then I try to chip in to help get that effort moving along. So we've been working to try to find alternatives, but we haven't heard you say you wanna put any money in now, and nothing from Smithfield Township. And yes, it's named Delaware Water Gap Fire Company, but you also service Smithfield Township. I mean, the wellness center is called the Delaware Water Gap Wellness Center, but it's not ours. I mean, so the point is we want to help, but we are also sitting here being responsible for Delaware Water Gap. And it would help us if you could be flexible and you put in some, Smithfield can contribute to some, and we can contribute to some, and we can help you.
Just so, according to the terms, we're paying $1,232 every month for the next 7 years. That's what the fire department's obligation is. So the fire department's obligation is $84,000 at this
And I have worked
Just,
on this.
so we are paying, I don't know how we're working it out, and that's where Jim was working tirelessly to try to figure out what the
Actually, the
best
fire
terms were.
department's obligation is all of this loan. We're trying to help with the down payment.
Correct.
That's right.
What about as a compromise? If you take 10 from the 52,000, 5 from the auxiliary and 5 from the borough, is that a compromise?
That is a
Everybody-
compromise, that's the compromise.
Yeah.
I'd
I
be
know it's
good
not
with
what
that.
everybody wants, but it's, everybody's putting some in the game.
I have a couple questions. Howard, how many fire department men are in our borough that work with you?
I think there's 8 of us,
And how many are in your department?
20 active.
So there's a lot of people that have a vested interest in us that don't even live here. So thank you to them, first of all, because they are coming in to help when they don't even live here. So thank you for that. There's a couple of other things. Years ago, we had gotten a COVID grant, like a lot of municipalities did. Our municipality did not get a lot because it was based on the amount of people that we have living here. Jack, I heard what you said about Smithfield. Smithfield, they give more, you know what, because they have more residents than they have, actually they have more taxpayers. We may have 688 residents, but they're not all taxpayers because most of them are renters. So they have more taxpayers that can pay. We don't have that luxury, unfortunately, and they have a lot more, business taxes too that they get. We don't have that luxury as well. So I appreciate that they give money, and I'm glad that they do. Why can we not ask them to give 10,000 and we can give 10,000 for the budget for the following year? That's one question. Wait, I'm
We
not done.
actually asked them for 22.
That'd be great, but if they don't have it in their budget now, and we don't either, then why can't we ask for 10 from them, and then we can ask for 10 from our taxpayers? I'm a taxpayer as well. I think that we should support our fire department, but I also see, I've been on the budget committee. I know what we've got and what we have to pay. We are very lean here. We are not a rich borough.
True.
And so we have to be very fiscally responsible with our money. That COVID money would have been great, we could have used it towards that, we needed it for the water. And here's the thing though, we didn't know that you needed it. If you would have come to us sooner, and you have somebody in the fire department that sits on our board, they could have come sooner and said, guys, this is what we're gonna need, and your budget starts in November, we start talking. December it gets finalized, but February is way too late now. They could have put some money towards that. So I'm asking now, if we are gonna go forward with, if you guys decide whatever you decide, we need some responsibility from the fire department. We wanna help, but we can't help at the last minute, cause we're a bunch of little taxpayers here, okay? So that's one thing here. Please be fiscally responsible with your budget so that we can help if we can help. But I think going to Smithfield and saying, listen guys, how about 10,000 in next year's budget? I can get 10,000 from Water Gap without hurting anything. And if we can get more, sometimes Bill Buzzard does this little thing with his fingers and there's more money. I don't know how you do it. But if it works, then we can do that. If not, can we each commit to 10 and then you guys get your down payment? Because I do think that our fire department is so essential to have here. And those guys that put their lives on the line, I wouldn't. I'm a first responder, but not in that, I won't go into a burning building. I don't even know what to do. But these guys, they do need our support, but we need your support as well, so that we can help you. Because you can't keep coming to the little guys here and saying, give us, when we don't have it. We're trying though, okay?
Oh, I know that, and may I answer?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes,
I have sent a letter to Smithfield
okay.
asking for the same amount, and whatever we get, we get. I mean, it is what it is.
I would love a commitment for them from 10,000.
When did the letter go out?
When did the letter?
About the same time yours did.
When was that?
Last month I sent the official letter.
Okay.
So now, it's gonna go on to our next meeting.
3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Also, I have been coming, when I returned to the fire department, I found that they still haven't done anything with the packs. And they're doing other grants for other equipment that's needed, and we started using the federal grant for air packs. And I came here every meeting and told that we were applying for the federal grant for SCBA's. That's what my main concern was, and the shape the building was left in. Those are two things I've been working on tirelessly, and our QRS.
Well, you got the building money, so
Yes.
congratulations for that, that's huge.
Thank you, a lot of people put for it, a lot of people, not
Well, that's good.
everybody.
Does anybody on council have any other alternatives? I mean, I'm thinking out loud here, I don't know if 10,000 from the borough right now would help solve an issue as far as ordering equipment so they can get it in hand as soon as possible. I mean, we don't wanna delay that. I think Smithfield's been cooperative all along, and your point is well taken, Eileen, but Howard has reached out to Smithfield, and they have never not given money to us and the fire company. Based on that, if the fire company can put up 10,000 of their own money right now out of the one fund, and the borough can put up 10, that maybe we pay in January, that's 20. And if Smithfield comes through with 10 or more in January, then that's to their credit as well. And then maybe we'll find other funds. Honestly, I hate to touch the money in the auxiliary because all those funds were earned on the premise of going into rehabbing the building so we could rent it out for different functions.
What the grant
You have the
that?
LSA
You've
grant.
got $350,000.
Yeah, 350,000. What's the estimate for the repairs of the building?
680.
Okay.
That was our estimate to start.
So, you know, if you take 17 and they pay the engineering cost, that's the end of the money.
Okay, so, I understand that, that you got a portion of what you wanted for the building repair for the grant. And then you have a fund that you can only use for building repair. And then you have your auxiliary fund. We need to see you put out something to help yourself.
We put out more than you think, honestly.
I'm not talking about your efforts as firemen, I totally
You don't
appreciate that.
understand. I don't see anybody here, they're on our fire company as social members, and not one has showed up to help us out, not one.
But
Except
we're
for
talking
Jack.
right
And
now
Mrs.
about
Cooper.
trying to
Mrs.
help you
Cooper
out.
always helps us, but Jack shows up, his wife shows up, all the time, all
So
the
Susan,
time.
Susan also.
And we totally appreciate him showing up because he has been the link to explain to me on the finance and the budget committee what the situation,
Come to
what
our
the status
meeting.
was.
You guys are more than welcome.
Well, you know, I have a
thrown
difficulty.
Hey,
That is not true.
You can
We have said this many times, when we come in the beginning,
It is open.
it is open in the beginning, you can ask your questions, you'll get your answers, and then once the meeting starts, we ask the public leave.
But we had,
Council has always been able to stay throughout the whole meeting.
so we've had a couple of alternative solutions provided. I like the mayor, he said 10,000 from the firemen, 5 from your auxiliary, 5 from the borough. Then there was a idea of 10 from the firemen, 10 from the borough. Speaking of that rehabilitation to the building, the borough, our borough manager actually has to manage that project because we sponsored the LSA loan grant for you. So that's a lot of work to deal with that building project. But you've got $350,000 that you didn't have before for the building. You've got an auxiliary fund that you can only touch for your building fund. And then you have your reserve. Could you not put something out of your reserve for this emergency that you say is life-threatening and help us because we've got things piling up on us that we have to attend to. And this is just June. We have to get through to December and hope everyone pays their taxes.
And then you also have another 8,000 from the property tax.
You mean the fire
Fire
tax?
tax.
The fire tax, well, it comes out of our property. The residents that own property, they pay property tax.
One more, Desiree, go ahead.
So I have another compromise. I like Larry's compromise, but since we have a police oversight committee, if we're giving that much money to the fire department, I think we should have a fire department oversight committee and have members of the public actually stay for the whole meeting to see what's going on, because apparently if the fire department was fiscally responsible, they would have said, we'll give $500, $5,000. But I've heard nothing but we want money from Smithfield, we want money from Delaware Water Gap, without them ponying up any money whatsoever. The price also went from 128 to, I think Jack said, 104 now. So the 20,000 was asked for when the price was 128,000. We're now substantially below that, and if they want the 20, and I don't see any reason why they can't go to Smithfield and ask them the same thing they're asking us. I know Howard has been there and Lucas is still working on that. They've not come up with anything. Smithfield actually now wants to have a committee of taxpayers so that they can sit and decide how to distribute their extra monies. This may not be true for emergency services, but for the rest, and I think if we're putting that much of our tax dollars in here, there should be an oversight committee and we should see what's going on. That's my
I
alternative.
can do an application if you'd like.
No, I tried that, and you told me, no, you need to show up for every function we have or get out.
Desiree, what we have here in the borough is a fire tax.
Yes.
We do, the fire company is not our employees. They are a volunteer fire company.
They're
We
autonomous, I
have no
get that.
rights, actual rights to.
Separate entity.
It's a separate entity. They are autonomous from us. But we have a fire tax, which is our mechanism to provide our tax collected funds to the fire company. This is a different situation, and we're just trying to find the best resolution.
No, I get that, but I'm saying if we're paying above and beyond the fire tax, that I think there should be some input from the taxpayers. I'm a taxpayer, I wanna know what's going on with this money and what's being raised and how it's being spent.
What about
We have one for the
15 from
police.
us, 5 from the fire department for down payment?
That's what I was thinking.
No.
It's up to you guys. I mean, we'll accept whatever you give us, appreciatively.
Amend the motion
I mean,
to be paid on January
We do.
1st, 15,
15.
borough, and,
Can we do that, Lisa, without a problem?
with the 5.
Can we do that without a problem?
Yeah, can we,
No, I think Larry's asking a different question. Can we afford that? is
Can we
Larry's
afford
question.
that? Can we do that without a problem?
15 and 5?
We can?
I think we can.
Five from who?
5 from the fire.
Right from their auxiliary, from that
No,
50,000,
fire.
that's
Let's
10% of
listen
that
to what
50,000.
Bill has to say.
Yeah.
No, you know, I ended up with Zach here. I don't know how to vote, one way or another. When this started, I said to myself, yeah, 20,000 is good, we gotta do it, we're gonna have a fire company. And so when we're talking about, gee, you know, we can pay off this and that, I'm concerned that it's way too thin, I think was the word Jim used. Way too thin on this amount of money. The fire company is not going to be able to sustain these payments over 7 years. I'm concerned about that. And I think others are concerned about that here too.
It's
What's
a
gonna-
real concern. And that's where we had the discussion, is that grant that comes in every year for
Yeah.
14,000, which will cover the 12,032. That's why Jim decided on the 7 years.
Right.
Because that was something that we could do without the fund drives and anything else, that's,
Way too
That
much.
would be covered.
that would be covered.
But you
But
have.
that number doesn't happen unless we get the down payment.
Exactly, and that number doesn't happen if you have overruns in the cost. We're used to being able to have an overrun and cover it. You're gonna get there, and what I see happening in the future here, is the problem, is I see the fire company not being able to sustain the payments over those 7 years, all right? And yes, the ESSA is saying that they're pledging, you know, these tanks, I guess, to the loan. But what are we gonna do if they cannot sustain these payments? We're gonna put a key in the door and say, fire company, go home? No, that isn't gonna happen. The borough council will have somebody come and say, look, we have an emergency here, we can't continue to make these payments, so you're gonna have to do it.
Every one of those 7 years, we're also gonna apply for the LSA grant, the fire commission grant. So we're gonna try to knock, and Smithfield, we're gonna keep asking them for money to knock down this debt.
And the word is
And
try.
like Jim said, there's no prepayment penalty. So anything we could do to knock down this debt over the course of the 7 years, lowers the amount we have to pay.
We have-
I understand that.
And we have done that with the command unit, that was paid off sooner than it was supposed to by grants and other funds that we've raised.
So what I'm going back to say is I think everybody on this council would like to just dip in and give you all $20,000 and say, let's go. But when you look at the figures and you look at the thing and you say, will they be able to sustain this for 7 years? The answer is, I don't know.
Well, Jim could speak to that because we had that discussion at our meeting, and he said we have a $14,000 grant we get every year that's gonna be committed to this. So we get that every year.
Speaking of grants, you have a grant in application right now for these tanks. But the grants we know aren't decided upon until December. If you get that grant in December, are you gonna give us back the money that we gave you?
Make that in the motion.
I mean, you'll pay for the whole amount, so.
That could be part of the motion.
But let's
Hell
see.
yeah.
That could be part of the motion.
Larry's
Works
not
for me.
Yeah.
Why not?
Thank you, Lisa, that was gonna be my question.
And I also want to check back with Tara Probst, because she told me she gave you 10,000, she was giving you the 10,000 to help remedy the tank problem. So I will go into her office and make clarification on that, instead of phone call or email. I will go ask her, because she pulled me aside and said, you were talking to me about the problem with the tank. I got this grant, they can get 10,000 for it. And you said that she told you could use them for the tanks.
Maybe she was misunderstood, maybe she misunderstood me, because Alice and I filled out the grant application.
I did not
It
fill
was
it out.
all for medical equipment.
If I was wrong, it is my fault, and I'm responsible.
Well, I'll check into it.
But if
Hey,
Tara
Jim,
helped get it, how
Jim,
could
are
she-
you still there?
How could you come to that conclusion?
I'm still here.
Okay, I just, wanna throw this out there for council to consider. If we amend the motion for 15,000 to come from the borough, 5,000 to come from the fire company, if we in fact get the grant, then the money is reimbursed to the borough. If they get the grant for the whole amount. No, we haven't given them yet, but we wouldn't have to give it to them if they get the grant.
The only thing I can say, as long as the terms of the grant permit that could be done.
Say that again, I didn't hear.
I said, as long as the terms of the grant permit that, it could be done.
Well, Jim, if we get the grant in December, would we know by December? Cause then they won't have to cut a check in January. But will we know?
I believe so.
Alright, so if we get the full amount of the grant in December, then
Yeah, you won't be
the
reimbursed.
motion is taken off, the
wouldn't be a
motion's
reimbursement.
budget.
And also, if there's any way Tara Probst or whatever, if these funds, the 10,000 can be used towards the down payment, that would go against our 15,000 due in January. You're gonna clarify that,
I'm gonna
Lisa,
clarify
cause you
that, but
spoke
that's
to her.
you have the one motion for 15 and
And
5.
Right.
The
We have-
mayor
We have a
proposed,
motion.
We have a motion for 20.
We have a
That
we have a
motion
motion
has
for
to be
20.
approved.
It was proposed for a motion for 15 and 5. The mayor proposed a alternative for 10, 5, and 5.
Well, you can only make a motion as to what you're going to be given. You can't make a motion that includes what other people are gonna give.
Okay, so a motion for 10, a motion for 15, a motion for 20 is on the table now.
Motion for 20 is on the
Well, it's
table.
actually just a
20,
motion for 20 right now.
And then
20 is on the
Right now,
table,
it's just a
15's been
motion.
proposed, and 10 has been proposed.
Okay, so Jack, would you like to amend the motion?
What?
Can you come back to the 20 if none of those pass?
Jack, would you
We
like
only
to
have a
amend the
motion for 20.
15?
I'm just
They
saying.
have to agree to
Yeah.
it.
Put the- and put the date on it?
Knock the next one down.
Alright.
What's that say?
So I support 15.
Yeah, I'd like to amend the motion that the borough would contribute 15, the fire company would contribute 5 of
We
their
leave
own
that out,
funds.
you gotta leave that point out, but it's understood.
All right,
We need
15,
20, so we
okay.
gotta
15.
All right, so 15,000 from the borough, and if the grant comes through in December, then the borough is not committed to the 15,000.
If the $10,000 grant comes through for the tanks,
And if the $10,000 grant comes through from Terra Probst, then the
And
borough,
can be used for these tanks, then that's.
then that would be
fine.
subtracted from the $15,000 that the borough agrees to pay in January, so
What is
then.
the
All right, so
grant?
we gotta
I'm
clean
sorry,
this
what is the grant that we're talking about? Nobody's mentioned.
That, remember we filled out that
I really,
QRS
here's
grant?
what I think, I think you just make the motion for the 15. If other circumstances changes, you could come back and make another motion and revisit the issue. Because you don't pass your budget until December.
Okay.
So I don't think there's a reason to complicate this.
All right, so then I make the motion.
Yeah,
The borough.
You
Go
agree,
ahead,
Jim?
I absolutely agree, Deb. I agree with what you just said.
So the borough,
All right,
I make the
what
motion,
Deb
the
said.
borough would contribute 15, fire company would take care of the difference
All
for
right.
down payment.
So Jack makes a motion that the borough gives the fire company $15,000 on January 1st to be used as a down payment for their SCBA equipment.
What,
That-
what
that
about the
please?
stipulations of the
Deb just
other
said we,
funds coming?
We just said
Deb just
that
said
if all those things are gonna happen, would happen before
January
the
1st.
before you budget.
right.
And
So
so
we can
before
change
you
it.
you do your budget, if something else comes through, you can always make a motion to amend your previous decision based upon a board of different
The
funds.
public just needs to understand that that
Yeah.
can happen.
Yeah, well,
We discussed it.
can we have something that says that aside from the motion? We are doing this and we understand that thus and so.
Yes, we can, I mean, this whole discussion can be in the minutes, so the minutes will
Exactly,
reflect that
okay.
the understanding is if different additional funds are received by the fire company, that we will revisit the amount, the
So
contribution
naturally.
from the borough.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
Do you got that last line, Allison? I tried to make it nice.
Allison,
Additional funds.
Are received, then they could reconsider their contribution from the borough.
let's take a minute to get that right, okay?
You want that read back?
No, but
If additional funds are received, they can reconsider
The contribution from the borough,
Yeah,
the
go with you.
contribution from the borough.
regardless, but
and did it say will consider?
it can be, that's what everyone has said.
Will consider? Oh, that's good.
And if you don't like what the minutes say, Bill, you can make a motion to amend them at the next meeting.
Okay.
Cause that works
Okay, so
well.
Jack makes the motion, we have a second for the motion,
I'll second.
Zach seconds the motion, we already had discussion on the motion.
What's in your cup tonight?
So all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously. All right, going on to the
And now
second-
we don't need this
second
every
agenda
month.
item.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay. Good night to everybody in Delaware Water Gap.
See you,
Good
Jim.
night, Jim. Be well,
Good
take
night,
care.
Jim.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
What was that, the Waltons?
Jim,
I don't know how we can have 3 times the.
Motion to pay the Crown Victoria Police Car invoice from Next Gen in the amount of $933.08.
I'll make that motion.
All right. Derek makes the motion, we have a second?
I'll second.
Jack seconds the motion, any discussion? All
Do
those
we,
in,
do we have an alternative?
We talked about the work
We
session.
don't have an alternative.
Think twice
you
before.
want,
voting.
you want to discuss, yeah?
No, I'm just saying that we don't have an alternative.
We have to pay it, but we're not having.
No, we're not
So
having
no
an
discussion?
alternative.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Motion to establish a monetary threshold amount for borough purchases that require council approval. We talked about this at the work session, and
I think we wanted to revise potentially the amount was $500.
what do we
We
want?
talked about going up, we talked about $750.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we talked about certain.
So why don't we just make a motion to establish a monetary threshold amount for borough purchases, of $750 before requiring council approval?
I can pick that motion.
All right, Bill makes that motion, we have a second for that motion.
Second.
Lisa seconds the motion, any discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, discuss reposting short-term rental ordinance and how to enforce same, that came from the work session, didn't it? I think that we did that in the
That
work
was my
session.
question, I hadn't heard anything.
So what do you wanna do, Bill?
I don't know, what's happening, you know? We spent money and
Fifteen is way too much.
We talked about it in work session, and we gotta figure out how we're going to enforce. Deb?
are we enforcing, what are we doing?
Allison,
We have to
I'm
sort
sorry,
of-
what?
do the applications for short-term rental permits come across your desk, or do they go straight to Mike Manser?
I have not received one.
Yeah, nobody.
That's my point.
Okay.
Alright, so what do you suggest?
Well-
Other than Mike Mann?
Is there any sort of notification that's gone out to residents?
Other than the posting?
Maybe something else, saying that there's a short-term rental ordinance, if you have a short-term rental, you must comply and include the information.
We put it in the newsletter.
Alright,
You could go in the newsletter, I mean, it just depending on what, I don't know what you think people read.
let's send the ordinance with a letter, on the back of it, saying that you must comply for the short-term rental ordinance.
On the back of
With
what?
With a letter with the ordinance on the back of it.
Do you wanna encourage people to tattle on people? I mean,
So you wanna,
We'd have an ordinance for that.
no, I just mean in the same letter, or if you're aware of one, please notify the borough, I mean, I
Okay.
can say it in a nice way, doesn't make it
Somebody
sound
wants
like
to
tattling,
give
but
me-
I don't know how else you find out.
if somebody wants to give me the language, we could put something
Deb, do you wanna
in
write the
the
letter?
next mailing.
So it has.
I can put a letter together and send to you so you can, it's just gonna be, like, the shouldn't, I don't think it needs to come to me, from me, cause that's gonna feel
No,
enforceable.
just from the borough.
But it comes from the borough, but I can help you craft something.
Okay, that sounds good.
And then we would put that in with the newsletter, its own,
Well, I mean, I
It was
could
going
go
with
in
the
with the
bill.
mailing.
yeah, with the billing or whatever.
With the
Yeah.
billing.
I don't wanna do a special mailing just for
Yeah,
this.
no, I don't
They're
know.
posted. The borough of Stroudsburg might already have something they send out, I'd check with them, Deb.
Yeah, I mean, I know like the borough, because we get something like to register our alarm
Yeah.
at the office. I mean, so there might be something that,
That works.
just a kind of like reminder, you need to register your short-term rental.
Notification,
Don't forget.
notification.
And if you know
Do
of one
want me
next
to
door,
do
please let us
in the
know.
newsletter also, or you just wanna do the letter separate and not put anything in the newsletter right now?
So it's okay.
We can do both.
Separate and attached.
I don't know.
Just a separate letter at this
I
point?
think so, it's okay.
And then we could do a
Reminder in the newsletter.
Okay,
We put it on our website.
Yeah, we put
yes,
it on the website
so
too.
we can put the letter on the website, sure.
Make it flash or something,
As
so
long as
people
they
take
don't increase
notice.
postage. in the newsletter.
And then we just gotta send Mike Mantra out to start,
Well, I do
spot
think the
checking.
idea of saying, if you know of one, let the borough know, because the people who, like, if you have one and no one's doing anything, then you're just gonna ignore this. But if you're a neighbor, you know it's happening, if there's different people coming in and out, so that's really the only way of,
You tell them on your neighbor.
if there are people coming in and out, yes, probably.
Alright,
You
motion.
do it anonymously, you don't have to say who you are.
Okay. Alright, so we'll put out more notice.
Just obey the ordinance, right?
And then we'll figure out how to deal with it after, the notices go out. I mean, after the ordinance, the publication, the newsletter, the letter, I mean, and put it on the website, people will be hard pressed to say, we didn't know. So then we could just start cracking down a little bit, we'll figure out how.
6
Motion to
months time.
authorize the borough solicitor to proceed with litigation
Yes,
regarding access to borough property located on 24 Main Street.
Do we wanna discuss that after executive session, or do folks not need that?
I think we're pretty much with consensus that,
That's up to everyone.
yeah, because I think we did discuss this at the last executive session, and this is the motion to give you the authority to do so.
I'd like to make that motion.
So Bill would make that motion,
I'll second.
and Lisa seconds the motion. And do we need any discussion on it? Do we want any discussion on it? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.
I guess I could ask the question.
Put it on the agenda.
I asked the question, has there been anything happening since the last
No.
meeting?
Well, except that the driveway got dug up right before.
Okay. And should we have a problem with them taking our driveway and modifying it?
Well, I think that my thought would be to file a declaratory action stating that we have a right and we're not being able to use that right.
Okay, so you're gonna do something to.
Yeah, that's what you just
That's what-
authorized me to do.
you just
Right,
made that
okay.
motion.
And the thought is the actual filing of something may get someone's attention and realize that we're not.
What we want.
Alright, next is motion to apply for the DCED multimodal transportation grant with matching waiver and new project estimates.
Yes, this is the DCED Multimodal Transportation Grant for the Mountain Road project that I've been applying for over and over again. This time around, because of all the things that we're incurring with different finances, we're gonna try for the match waiver, no match, because we just can't afford it, but we still need to have our infrastructure fixed. So I have already gotten a letter from Representative Probst. I'm gonna try and get one from Congressman Cartwright, and any other letters that I can get to go with that. Missy gave me an estimate, but we're gonna go for the
So-
match waiver.
Okay, so that'll change.
Okay,
Okay, I can do that and send you an updated estimate.
thank you, and then we can work on getting it in.
Yep,
What,
sure.
what is the match if we don't get the waiver?
Well, before we were trying to match for 20, 30, we had like 30.
We had 30% last year. And boroughs or any municipalities does not have to offer a match at all. So this year,
Would that,
from
would that,
Lisa's discussion,
would that
no
hurt our
match.
chances of getting the grant? I mean, if others are and we're not,
It may not. I think
That
every
doesn't-
year
that's-
there's a certain, it's a flip of a coin,
sure,
really.
maybe not.
I
No,
think-
I don't,
Maybe
no.
not.
I think
It
it
always
helps to have
helps,
something,
but-
it's to have something, but right now, financially, in the situation we're in, with things coming at us. I think that if we had gotten the grant, we would've had to pony up the 30%, which we were perfectly ready for last year. But this year, June, we're into overages on a lot of different things that are hitting us. So I'm going to give it a try, still, but with the match waiver. I'll keep trying, I might even, well, no, the LSA, is that, you can do that without a match too.
Correct.
And and also in this motion, there's $100, application fee, so be aware that there's $100 application fee.
$100 application fee for the waiver?
I had a question concerning it, because it's a full redesign of crosswalks and sidewalks and everything else. Does it include like storm sewer and infrastructure and everything else as well in the proposal?
Yeah, cause when we walked it, Missy went through each thing that had to be moved, realigned.
No, that's good, I was just asking,
I
because
can
so much
show you
surface stuff can be
drawings
done,
and
but
shit.
the infrastructure is so important, and when you surface stuff, and to have that to fit.
Well, I
But
thought
if
about
it's
that when you were
included,
talking
that's
about
beautiful.
curves, because it would go all the way over to Waring Drive if we can get this done. And it also would help residents that we cannot financially help, which is the Castle Inn, which has flooding in their basement. But if we can get this done, it would raise the sidewalk and eliminate, hopefully, the problem that they're having, which we can't come out of our pocket to do. And also a bump out so that people that, from Mountain Road that have to come to Shepherd to get out can actually see. It's pedestrians, because I cross the porch of the Deer Head and cross the street. Pedestrians can't see when they're coming out. People on 611 can't see people coming out. And, it'll also realign our ADA, accesses on the sidewalks, because they're all mixed match. And the Deer Head, as wonderful as they are, coming across the street, there's no way for anyone in a wheelchair to even cross the road. So they'll fix a host of things if we can get it.
Is there any consideration that it is the Appalachian Trail as well, and that you have to cross that section you're talking about right there to continue the trail, and we're an Appalachian Trail community.
It would move the
Does it-
crosswalk too, because the crosswalk now is in front of Asparagus Sunshine. It's not even at the corner.
Right, I'm saying for the
They-
grant
they are
consideration.
leveraging-
Yeah, leveraging that, that's what I meant, yeah. that's the
Because
word.
of it, and
Yeah.
surprisingly, that works pretty good, and Representative Courtwright really.
Yeah, and I'm still trying to get him to come out here. We preface everything with Appalachian Trail Community. We
Well, don't
preface everything
forget, we
with that.
also have our community trail, which is an award-winning trail, the Cherry Creek Loop Trail, which connects to the Appalachian Trail and goes down Waring Drive. So that's another whole, trail that could be part of.
Well, the thing is, we talk it up, we say that we're Appalachian Trail Community, we use the keywords pedestrian safety, motorist safety, ADA. Problem is, you only get 1,000 characters. So you.
Can't talk it up that much.
But
Yeah.
she has extracted a willingness for him to come see water gas. And this is how-
Yeah, I went to him with our capital improvement plan, and everybody looked at me like I was crazy, because we were the only ones that gave him a plan, but we got feedback from it, they called us, so, we keep trying.
Now, I'm sorry, is Cartwright is the senator?
Senator, No,
What about-
Congressman.
Congressman.
I'm sorry.
What about, but he's a state, not federal. He's
He's federal.
He's federal. What about Fetterman? I reached out to Fetterman's office and they came back to me right away.
I'm
They
gonna
were
try and
very
get
impressed
as
with
many
it.
letters of support as I
Yeah.
can.
Try
Now,
Fetterman.
Allison and I actually
Maybe
spoke
Mrs.
with
Fetterman?
one of the grant administrators who told us they put the letters in a file. We're gonna get them anyway. Those letters are nice, but I said, how much weight does all those letters have? And she said, well, we just put them in the file, truthfully. So I'm also reaching out to the congressman, to the senator, to the representatives, to try and get them to buy in, whoever's appropriating the money, to be on board with it. Cause everybody's getting letters from the same representatives in Congress. So that's the motion.
So you're making this.
Yes, the motion to apply with the $100.
Well, under $1,000. You described him. You talked for like 5 minutes, then you're like, that's the motion.
The motion to apply for the grant,
Sorry, Allison.
matching waiver, $100 application fee.
It was under $1,000.
Do we have a second for the motion?
I'll second that motion.
All right,
No match.
Jack seconds
We
the
pay the
motion.
application.
And do we have any need for any discussion on this motion?
We already did.
All right. All right, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, motion to adopt the resolution to authorize Jamie to sign the TSMA traffic signal maintenance agreement.
I make the motion to adopt a resolution to authorize Jamie to sign the TSMA traffic signal maintenance agreement.
I'll second.
Lisa makes the motion, Jack seconds the motion. Any discussion on that motion?
What is this?
We have to enter into a traffic maintenance, signal maintenance agreement with PennDOT to be able to put up the speed limit signs.
Enough fun already?
Well,
Have enough fun already?
and that, the resolution, all the resolution says is that we have the authority to do it, we have to maintain them, and you are authorized to sign it. That's the language PennDOT wanted, that's all it says.
How
It's a
are
lot
we
of
coming?
words.
I
You
know
can read
picked-
it if you want to be
you
able
picked
to
the
read it out loud.
locations, how are we coming with that?
Missy has been working on that. That was one of the pieces of the puzzle that needed to be solved before we can move
Yes,
forward.
yeah, you need that agreement signed by PennDOT before you can submit for the permit for the sign.
This one will be-
And is that because we have to put them on the sign and they want that maintenance agreement because?
From last month.
Yeah, and you're along a PennDOT road, so
Yeah.
signs.
Do we physically have them yet?
No,
No.
They haven't come yet?
no, we haven't heard of them yet.
Okay,
That I'm
gotcha.
aware of.
Okay.
We have to get this agreement signed by PennDOT first.
Okay.
This state just keeps pushing it down. You spend the money, not us.
I got it.
We'll get it,
We'll get it.
we'll get it, we got the grant, so the
got the
money's
grant.
there, we just have to now do the,
Just get the
Go through
agreement,
all
just get the
this.
paperwork
Yeah.
we'll do the
moving.
red tape.
Yeah,
But
the agreement should push it
I think it's
along.
gonna help us greatly.
Oh, I do too, and I think it's something, I know I slow down when I see those things.
Yeah, they
So,
jump out.
They work.
Lisa made the motion, Jack seconded the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, discuss or move to authorize Level to prepare bid documents and advertise for Cherokee Road, Mincy Road, Shepherd Court paving and repairs, and borough-wide pavement crack sealing. Zach.
So let's talk about this a little bit. Rhodes has been talking about our streets that are most in need of work. Shepherd Court. Where did it finish? Cherokee needs repairs and surfacing. Can't just be paved over. It is failing from one end basically to the other. Missy met with us this evening and we kind of walked the roads. Mincy, we need to check the length of our right-of-way, the house at the very end. Looking at maps, it looks like part of their driveway is Borough Road, and I would wanna fix it up to the end of that. There's a point where the borough's like wide right-of-way ends and it comes driveway, but from what I understand, 20 to 30 feet of that driveway, where it's narrower, is Borough Road, so I wanna fix that. I would want to do the corner, turn the corner up Dogwood to that first patch repair that goes across the road.
That, on Mincy, Bill asking, which house was that, what driveway was that?
This is Cherokee.
Cherokee.
Well, where the driveways out
at the end. Was it Don and Cheryl?
And he wants the one that he flooded, not his, but moving his.
So what I
There
understand,
was one that wasn't a
we would need
borough
a survey
road.
anyway, right?
Or we need to pull some deeds,
Yeah.
hopefully we can figure it out from them.
Yeah.
His survey.
We should be able to pull some deeds,
Oh,
hopefully,
okay.
and figure it out from there.
Yeah.
Survey will come and if it's in.
Yeah. The whole
Because-
length of Cherokee needs to be
Okay, because
rebuilt.
there was a question.
Yeah, and we would turn a little bit up Dogwood to that first patch that is next to, Nicole and John, next to their house.
Where would the survey be needed? I heard survey.
Missy said that they look at deeds and might not need a survey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can I edit this?
Mincy,
The middle,
Mincy, if you're on Shepherd, the first 50 to 75 feet or so needs to be repaired. We feel the rest of it could just be sealed, just be chip sealed. So this is probably gonna turn into a slightly lesser motion, because I'll get to that. Deb, when we were looking at Shepherd Court, there was the question, is the borough responsible for Shepherd Court?
Jerry just asked me, do you get liquid fuels money for it?
It's on the PennDOT maps labeled as Turnback Road. So my thought was yes, that it's ours because we get, it looks from PennDOT maps that we get
You'd
liquid
have to
fuels.
look at it, but.
I can email.
I think it is.
I can email our PennDOT rep and find out.
No question.
Does the borough plow it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We plow
I don't
Shepherd
think
Court.
there's any question.
That doesn't make it ours.
Look it up, but
We
there's
plow a
no
driveway,
question.
apparently it's not
I
ours.
think we adopted we adopted that whole.
That road, hey, that road was turned over to the borough years ago.
Yeah.
That's what,
That might be
It
the
was.
case.
It was.
We went through that years ago.
Yeah, and it has absolutely no base in a few places.
Yeah, that right when you go to the end, before you make the right to go down the Shepherd, that's really, that whole thing has to be
Yeah.
dug out and filled.
And it's on PennDOT's municipal map as a borough street
It
with
is.
its lengths.
Okay.
And we get liquid fuel money.
Yes.
And Larry thinks there's a Todd list here, so I can look in our files and see if we have anything.
Alright, so we'll assume that it's ours.
So yeah, Shepherd Court also needs not just maintenance, but repair. It is failing, it's about to fall apart. So, Shepherd, Cherokee need repair. Mincy needs a segment to be repaired, but then the rest of it needs maintenance. The stuff that requires repair, Missy said that her office would have to do the work for.
I'm sorry, what? Would have to what? I can't hear.
The roads that need repair,
Yes.
our engineer would have to prepare the bid documents, do all the work, so that's what we need to authorize them to do.
Describe the
Okay.
repair.
Yeah,
They
she said that the sections that just need maintenance, you know, the chip sealing, and the other borough streets where we wanna get crack sealed, that I need to reach out to the municipal services people, because they can probably prepare most of that, most of those figures, how much material, how much,
Our PennDOT.
yeah,
Yeah,
That was the question I was gonna ask about this. I think it's great that you identified all this and got it all ready to go. How much are we gonna have to expend more for engineering on this, because we are really way over right now. And if it's one of them or two of them you can do, if it's if it's gonna be a lot of engineering costs, we really need to know that ahead of time.
I asked Missy to ballpark.
No pressure.
Is there enough money
so-
for roads that maybe we could push to engineering?
Because
money in
with
the
the,
roads
with the liquid fuels, you can't pay for the
Right.
engineering out of liquid fuels,
But the
so you have to
roads
pay for
budget,
the
if you're,
engineering.
if you're under, maybe you
Right,
can push something to
exactly.
engineering.
Yeah, could some,
Well, let's get a
Yeah.
idea of how much.
lay it on us.
Well, as far as, I'm gonna have to come out and take a look at the roads, and then, it's not a Cherry Valley Road project.
Oh, no.
It's, what?
We just did that.
Yeah,
You have to
I have
measure.
to measure it. It's not a Cherry Valley Road project, so, I mean, it's just describing the limits of mill and pave, and then any base repair. My initial thought was 3,600 to 4,000. I will ask survey about deed research.
roads, Cherokee and
Three.
Shepherd Court.
Be Mincy.
And Mincy.
Cherokee,
And Mincy?
Shepherd Court, segment of Mincy.
And actually
Okay, so
part of
I-
Dogwood,
so I
though.
have this wrong, okay.
Part of
so-
Dogwood.
And we
That
can look at roads and see if possibly you have the funds in roads to pay
Pay
for
for the
that.
engineering,
For
yeah.
the engineering. And the reason I'm stickler on this is because we got a grant for the, flashing speed lights. And we got that, no matching, which was great. But the PennDOT permits, we were not aware that we would have to do all that with the PennDOT permits. So we had to pay, well, we have a bill for $2,502 for that. The Gulf Station Inlet has cost us, and this is in engineering, not anything else. The Gulf Station Inlet has cost us $3,883 so far.
That's just for this recent bill.
That's the recent bill, and there was another bill. So in total, we budgeted $10,000 for engineering this year based on what we did last year. And right now, we're at $15,433, and it's just June. So I start to clutch the table and you know, like, what? More money? So if we can find a way to, and again, we can't take it out of liquid fuel. So if we can we'll look at the roads, come back to roads. And talk to you about what we see, and if we can do it out of roads, and if you could help us out, we'd appreciate that. Yeah, thank you.
And I'd like to just kick this in. Last time we did this thing with filling the cracks in the roads, it was
Don't use
awful.
that.
Yeah.
And
I keep hearing that.
what we spent was outrageous. The product we got was just garbage. And I think what we put, and you might confirm this, I think we probably took half of what they put down and scooped it up with a shovel and threw it in the thing. It was so bad, so poorly
It's,
done.
Chris hit the nail on the head. You have to heat the surface, and the material has to be heated as well. You don't heat the surface when you're putting it down, it doesn't adhere very well. That was a big problem.
We went oversight, we
Yeah.
went oversight on these repairs.
Yeah.
Somebody,
Company doing it.
we're gonna pay the engineering office, but we're gonna have oversight,
Yeah.
so we don't throw it down the soup.
And just, Mountain Road, we have increasing amounts of heavy truck traffic.
Oh, you
We
do?
don't know what's going on the end, but we have triaxle dump trucks going up and down. And we're watching increasing, not for this year, but we are watching increasing deterioration of Mountain Road almost on a monthly basis now.
I just drove it today and
And-
the speed hump is starting to fall apart probably from triaxle dump trucks.
Oh, yeah,
hitting it.
well,
You
I'm
should see
seeing
Oak
cracks,
Street
I mean, cracks
cracking
forming
already.
just in the past
I
year
drove
or
that today
so.
too.
And there's just cracks forming that we didn't have, the side of the road is having issues. I mean, it's changing, so just a heads up on that.
Crack sealing is
Yeah, yeah.
a priority for a lot of
You
the
do
Mountain
what we
Road,
can.
Shepherd.
We're gonna put a
Jack and I
12
can-
foot
Zach,
back
you're
Mountain
making the
Road.
Arms, and then give the
So,
residents
yeah, I'm
the-
gonna make a motion, but I want
Good money
to,
from them up there.
exclude the borough-wide pavement crack sealing, so it's a motion to authorize level to prepare bid documents and advertisement for Cherokee Road, Quincy Road, and Shepherd Court
That's it, right?
pavement repairs. Leave out that second bit, because that I will get a PennDOT
To come up
to
with.
prepare most of that stuff.
Okay.
Okay, so Zach makes that motion, we have a second.
I'll second.
Jack seconds the motion, and we have any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
I think when we looked, we had 190,000-ish in liquid fuels.
195.
And 195 in liquid fuels, so we have a lot of money to spend to maintain our roads. It'll go quickly, but we've got the money there, and these roads.
Sounds good. Next is a motion, thank you, Zach. Motion to authorize Solicitor Huffman to advertise hydrant flushing, dates to be determined. Who,
I'll make that
this was-
motion.
Okay. That was Derek, that's right. Alright, Derek makes the motion, do we have a second for the motion?
Second?
And Terry seconds the motion.
And I
Any
have a,
discussion, you wanna discuss it? Go.
yeah, I have a date request, it would be for June, the week of June 19th,
That should work.
yeah. And it would be for, the last time we did a flushing was, we asked for 2 days, but I would like to
At a
ask for the,
time, and the time was on there also.
yeah, I'd like to ask for the whole week between the hours of 7 and 3.
7 AM and 3
Yeah, or 6 AM to 3 PM.
Well, that,
6 a.m.
that Monday's a holiday, just so you're aware.
Of the
It's
19th?
Juneteenth,
Yeah,
yeah.
Juneteenth.
Yeah, I work holidays.
Yeah, it's okay.
What was it, 6 to 1?
6 AM to 3?
6 to 3.
Okay.
Does that affect the,
fire department at all? I mean, would it be flush?
You just let me know.
Yeah, there's
Which one?
a possibility, if we go into some type of drought, we don't know. Then that's probably gonna be canceled or postponed. That's what happened last year, we didn't flush the hydrants last year because we went into a drought.
Can we publish in time?
That-
Do we
I
have
think,
it?
I think, given that we're at the 5th, if 19th is a week away, we should be fine.
Why does this need to be
We can-
published? I'm just curious.
Bid out?
No, not bid out.
have to advertise.
Chris is doing it, just to advertise to the public, just to let them know that
That the hydrants are gonna.
they're gonna be flushed, there's gonna be a chance of there will be clouded water. It's not a health issue. I've actually Googled other hydrant flushing notices, and they basically tell you, avoid cleaning sheets. But it's, typically the water clears up in 3 or 4 hours, if it even gets clouded. But we weren't able to do it last year because of that drought watch, there's probably more of a chance of some mud buildup in the system.
But we don't have a legal requirement to put a notice out there.
No, but we're advertising.
Right.
I mean, it should be,
So
we're recommending
the
that.
state doesn't really, like, give a week worth of advertising.
Yeah.
We're fine.
Yeah, and I asked,
I don't know offhand, I'm assuming since you've advertised it before, there's requirements to advertise it, so.
Larry, you want to add something?
Oh, no.
We don't have to advertise it.
I thought you were.
But the letters go out to the businesses at all, since does it affect their pressure too, the water
there
pressure?
might be a drop in pressure.
So maybe some of the restaurants or something might need to.
Well, what I'm gonna do is I'll probably go around and tell Sangapura, Sycamore Grill, and, the pizza shop. Trying to think of those other places, those are really the only ones I actually saw there that let them know that there might be a drop in pressure, there might be some.
Sue?
Yeah, and there might be some clouded water. But it's something that has to be done. If it's not done on a semi-regular basis, then there's big issues. You don't wanna get there.
Can you let Vitalis know, because they use a lot of water.
Yeah.
If they don't, because all of a sudden they'll be like,
I'll let
oh, we
them know.
got sediment in the water, what's going on? So,
Yeah, that's fine.
And the property manager at
Terry
Water
second.
Gap
Yeah, I'll
as well.
stop there too, they have issues.
All right, is that it for the discussion?
Yeah.
All those in
I
favor?
have a
Go
question,
ahead.
maybe it's all vague. The tents up there, Shepherd Court, the tents.
Does this have anything to do with hydrant
Yours.
flushing?
No,
we're in the middle of a motion.
I'm sorry.
All right, all those in favor of that hydrant flushing motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Who seconded the motion, please?
Terry.
Thank you.
Next is a motion to have the property appraisals done for the Cherry Valley Road Water Project. Is that something we wanna push till after the executive meeting, executive session? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Motion to deauthorize repairs to 2 New Holland backhoe hydraulic cylinders by Dixie and authorize Pemcor Hydraulics to perform the work.
I so move.
Second.
Okay, so we got, Jack makes the motion, we got Bill seconds the motion, and you wanna, just explain it real quick?
Explained this a few times, I'll explain it again. We moved to take the 2 leaking backhoe cylinders, hydraulic cylinders to Dixie, I don't remember the rest of the business name, for, was it $1,200, $1,600?
22 and change? I believe.
22 and change, something like that. And this one is
600.
ballpark $300 a cylinder, but this place specializes in just that, they just rebuild cylinders all day long. And we can take it to them, pick it up, they're only 45 minutes away, and save a whole ton of money.
Alright, so Jack made the motion, Bill seconds the motion, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
I abstain. It is a division of the company I work for.
Okay, so we have, one abstention, we have Zach. And, so 6-4.
He learned it's a sunshine law.
Old business. Stormwater management ordinance, is that still to be continued?
Yeah, I have to talk to Missy.
Be continued all across the county.
Okay. Yeah, everybody's
And
got a problem.
no one's in a big hurry.
No, it's, yeah, we got time now.
So that's tabled?
Table.
Yes.
Cherry Valley Road Water Line Project. We're working on the, next phase of shoring up the easements, I think we have 3 left. Is there anything else you wanted to add to that, or?
Nope.
Okay. Follow-up on grant search for new hall generator, that's also gonna be tabled, police advisory committee tabled, and update on SOPs, I think Larry did that already with the police report. So, that I guess will be tabled as well. Committee reports, anybody have a committee report?
Yes, I'd like to.
Yeah.
Deb, concerning the zoning ordinance, so we submitted, our draft to Eric Koopman. He came back to us with recommendations. We made modifications in the draft based on his recommendations. That went back, and I sent those to Carson. Carson, and I also spoke to Eric. Eric says, please send me a modified rough draft so that he can review it before he sends that back to us for us to advertise. And so, Carson just sent his modified draft back to Eric based on Eric's recommendations.
Has the Borough's Planning Commission reviewed it?
Yes, and
And
we're,
with the revisions?
yes. Yeah. And, so, Carson sent the modified first draft to Eric for him to review.
Okay.
And that just went out tonight.
So then
So we're
after
moving
that,
forward on it.
after that, we vote on it?
I think it'll be advertised.
Yes, it's an ordinance has to be advertised, and we have to just make sure that it was referred to properly, so.
Yeah, so basically Eric is hopefully, maybe tomorrow, whatever, he's gonna start reviewing it, to make sure it's okay for advertising.
Got it, so we're getting close.
How was it sent to them? My concern is just that normally would be a motion from council to refer it to the planning commission for review, so that it's clear that it went to them. You just sent it to them?
Carson sent it to him. Carson actually sent it to us, and Allison is gonna send it to Eric to ask him to review it.
I haven't done that.
No, you haven't, it just came in today.
Yeah, then I haven't done anything with them.
No, I know,
today.
yeah.
It would, to me, it would make sense if council made a motion to refer it to the county and to the borough planning commission for review.
And
Okay.
review again, or yes, for
For
review
another
again.
review.
Well, the county planning commission wants to review it again, so I would just make sure that I would have the borough one do it again, and then just so we have the proper record to show that everyone reviewed it properly prior to adoption by council.
I can make that motion for the record.
Well, we have to amend the agenda.
Do you wanna do it now, or do you wanna do it in the next one?
Is
So,
that correct?
Yes, probably.
So we need a motion to amend the agenda.
Good call.
Good call.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion to amend the agenda.
Alright, so Jack makes the motion to amend the agenda to include the, zoning ordinance updates to the planning commission of the county and the planning committee of the borough. And do we have a second for that? Bill, did you?
I can second.
Alright, Bill seconds the motion. And any discussion on that motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Alright, motion carries. The agenda is amended to include a motion to, you wanna say what the motion should say,
It
Deborah?
would be a motion to refer the proposed zoning ordinance to the county and borough planning commissions for review.
I'll go over that with you tomorrow, Ally.
So Derek, would you like to make that motion?
Motion to refer proposal.
Proposed zoning ordinance
Proposed zoning ordinance.
to the county and borough planning commissions for review.
Okay, so I'll make that motion.
All right, do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Terry seconds the motion. Do we have any discussion on that? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, so now, is that it on zoning?
Hey Susan, do you wanna open space?
Open space, I just wanna thank everyone for, giving us the letter of support for the Boulder Gap Trail, and the letter is used by the two other municipalities on the committee, and they're going to use it as, just as an information if we go out amongst people for support. And so they were very impressed with the letter, and we really wanna thank you guys. We are, still looking at doing, foundation, see if we can make a foundation so we can collect money. Anything else, Terry, I'm forgetting? No? I think that was, okay. And we are trying to get a meeting with PennDOT, so we can be on their radar for any future, engineering that they might do on 611, which they have to, so. That's it, that's what we have.
Thank you very much. Any other committee reports?
Yes, budget. I've talked a lot tonight about frantically trying to keep a handle on our finances. And I just wanna say that I am one council member out of 7. And although I'm the chair of the Budget and Finance Committee, I'm on a committee of 4 people. I'm just one of those people. And a communication was sent to council and sent to someone outside of council that wasn't really meant for council. It was a communication that specifically targeted me and set me out as the prime target and focus of other people's anger. It was abusive. It was an ugly and nasty thing to do.
Must have been Jamie.
I am a black woman living in this world, and I walk a different walk than anybody else in this room. And for someone to put pressure on us to do anything on this council of 7, plus the mayor, and single me out as the one person that's causing the problems and preventing things from going forward is unfair, but it's also a nasty, dangerous game to play with a woman of color that has to walk and live in this world. And I just want you to know that I don't appreciate it. It was a nasty ass thing to do. And it puts more pressure on my life. I am one council member on a council of 7, plus a mayor, and on a committee of 4. And to send out a communication to the council, if you have a beef with the council, other council members, we send communications to each other, we talk about it, we give our thoughts. But to send something out nasty targeting me and send it to someone outside of the council and put me forth as the target for their anger is a nasty ass game.
Sounds like a bully.
And I will not tolerate it.
Wow.
I have a question. I mean, was it was race invoked?
I am one black woman on this council.
Okay,
And if
well,
if you say that
I'm sorry,
I'm
but
it,
my question
it
is,
made me it.
It shouldn't matter your color. What it matters is your position. So, I'm sorry, but I feel if someone attacked you race-wise, then it's worth bringing up.
No, what I'm trying to explain to you is that I live a different walk.
So do I.
In
I'm
this
military. I served in two operations overseas. I live a different walk.
I understand
But
that, but
it
until
doesn't
you
mean
live
because
the
I'm
life
white
of
or,
a black woman living in this world, and someone specifically targets them for the point of it to be the one that you should focus your anger on, then you know, I can tell you how I have to live. I can't tell you how you have to live.
That's what my question was though, was it race targeted, or was it because your position as budget, overseer? You know what I mean, that you're head of, and on the council for that? That's my question, I mean, it's just.
Well, Chris, that shouldn't matter. The fact that she's a black woman and singling her out, it's a big thing. I remember saying this when, maybe a year and a half ago, that, you know, you can't understand the life that woman has led because you've never lived your life as a black woman. And it's different. You can say, oh, whatever, you know, I'm a military guy, I'm a Hispanic. But it's very different in this world. It's very volatile
And I have
now.
also been attacked online in this position with white supremacy rhetoric that was sent and put on my page.
Well, that's unfair. I mean, that's absolutely unfair and uncalled for.
And I have watched my back living in this community as a black woman. But if you have an issue with the council, with this whole council, and you want to resolve it, you don't put it out there in the public that I'm the one person that you should be angry with.
So it came from a board member?
Oh, yes. And it went out to someone outside of the board for the audience. And I'm saying that
It came from this board?
It came from our president.
Oh, shit.
That doesn't surprise me.
Wow.
And I'm saying that I am doing this for this community. I am loving this community because I'm doing this not for pay, not for power, not for fame, because I love the community that I live in and I contribute to it. But I will not be watching my back because you want to get something done and you want to make me it.
Wow.
Is that what we got for the budget? Any other committee reports?
Wait, are you gonna apologize for that?
I don't even know what you're talking about, honestly, but we're talking about the committee reports right now.
You know
So
absolutely well what I'm talking
we can
about.
have a private conversation anytime you want. So
No.
Well,
You
apparently
can't.
it wasn't
I'm
private if you
I'm
did
very
a public
personal.
email.
Is it, can we wrap the committee reports?
What a
Anybody have a
Swindlers,
committee
I am
report?
sorry.
All right.
Wow. That speaks to
Public
character.
comments, not related to the agenda. Go ahead, sir. You-
It's not related to the agenda. Let him make his comment.
No, you can, you
I
can.
work in the minority community as a social worker, as a therapist, and I support what she's saying, I wholeheartedly support the military. And these people have fought for rights of everyone, and black citizens and minorities. And, my life is in that minority community, so thank you for saying that.
All right. Any other public comments?
Yeah,
Tim?
I wanna say I'm sorry for what Lisa had to go through. That's bullshit.
No.
And to not apologize really speaks to your character. But we expect nothing more from you, Jamie.
Anybody else?
Bang the table, like you normally do.
Any other public comment? Going once. Going twice.
I am thinking that communications on the, sorry,
Okay.
yeah, can I say?
Yeah, you had something to say, I was stopping him
Oh,
after you started.
sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, communications on the supervisors' emails, I feel should be restricted to supervisors, so there is no confusion, whatever you wanna call it, of it going outside to others for whatever purpose. And I think it should be restricted to within the supervisors unless there is some council business reason to involve, say, a Missy or a Chris or someone in the emails.
Absolutely.
I have one last question or comment.
Desiree.
Now that I'm aware of that email, there'll be a right to know. And we'll all be able to see exactly what was said in it.
Do me a favor. We got an overload of right to know. I'll give you the email.
Sure, if you wanna
Maybe I'll
voluntarily
put that on
give it,
Allison, please.
that's fine. I hate putting it on Allison. I usually get nothing when I ask for it, so I appreciate that.
Any other comments, questions, concerns unrelated to the agenda?
Be nice for the election.
Tim?
The usual police oversight committee meeting?
No meeting.
Of
No
course.
meeting as of yet.
And are you gonna vote on anything that coming out of executive session?
Just that one that we tabled.
The motion we table.
regarding,
Assessments, property assessments?
appraisals in relation to Cherry Valley Road.
Okay.
What are you still doing?
You have committee report?
I went past it.
Me,
Oh, go ahead.
just an update on Founder's Day. It's moving forward. Things are kind of slow as far as the crafters go, but if you know of anybody, please get it out there.
I got 2 more today.
Okay, thank you.
And I sent you two.
When is it?
January. Oh my God.
June 24th.
June 24th. We secured a Mark's bus for transportation around.
Train's coming.
Train's coming, yeah.
Rebels.
Rebel Stages is opening
Rent.
that evening,
Saturday night.
correct?
Okay.
I sent you an email, but you passed it on. Are they doing anything on the stage during the day, do you know?
No,
Just during the evening, okay.
just the evening, behind the stage, so
Right.
we sit on the lawn behind
Right.
the stage.
Presbyterian Church is having their, bake sale, which will be in the, no, if I'm not mistaken, I think Jody told me it's gonna be, at the, bottom of the parking lot there, at the Deerhead parking lot there.
And we're doing a tricky tray to raise money for the cemetery. We have trees that need to be removed, and we'll be visiting you guys in October for your budget.
That's 20,000 as well.
I asked Kate if she would message the Makers Market vendors and let them know.
Yeah, Larry and I, we've been in contact with, Lauren as well, to see if that was, she said she's having a hard time getting them.
Who, should they reach out to, you?
Yeah, if you can give them my email or get my number, yeah, that's fine. But I think that's it.
How about the war
There'll be
dogs?
some, car club participation.
Yeah, there's a little bit of, not much, but,
Oh,
Isn't the
yeah.
war dogs?
The
I
war
think
dogs
the war
will be there,
dogs will be
too.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, forgot about them.
yeah.
This is still the, crafters?
Founder's Day thing.
Founders.
It's all Founder's Day, yeah. But, I think that's kind of pretty much it.
So it's coming along, we're hoping it's gonna be a great show this year, it's gonna help with the road being closed down, it's gonna give us some freedom and some way to move around up in here, we don't have to worry about traffic.
Honestly, I know it hurts the businesses, but 611 being shut down is actually pretty nice.
Except for the trucks on Oak
It's
Street.
quiet.
It's quiet, it's real quiet. I know it's bad for the businesses, but
But I wanna thank Tammy, Tammy's done a lot of hard work on this, and bringing friends together, and Charles DeBourbon's been helping out, so we've been getting a little bit of help, but we could use a bigger gang, but we're doing the best we can with what we have. So we're expecting a great show, for the day, hope you all can come out, enjoy the day.
no, it's not in a
Need
way.
volunteers.
I know it won't be mentioned, but the fire company is doing a pancake breakfast.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I meant to ask you that.
We're
I'll get out
we're
there.
at the firehouse?
At the firehouse, yes.
What time?
I think, what, 7 to 11? Is that the same time we've always done it?
I think
What's time?
7, 8.
8 to 11?
Alright, I know you guys will make your own little posters or flyers or whatever it is, but we'll put like a little blurb on our big
Please.
Founder's Day poster.
Appreciate it.
8 to 11, okay?
Thank you.
Sure. I'm sorry, I meant to ask if you guys were gonna.
All right, any other committees?
I think that's it.
Back to public comment? That's it?
We were on motion to.
Oh, motion.
Motion to exit.
Motion to go into
executive
executive
session.
All right.
Thank God you paid attention.